Let's start off today's show by I just want to quickly share something that I saw in the Financial Times a couple of days ago. It should give us um, a good start for today. The many cited crisis in consulting. I mean, it's not something to kind of start the webinar off or start this session off on a negative note. But this is what's been happening in our industry for a while, and it's been talked about in mainstream media as well. And this one in the Financial Times talks about how consulting firms helped organizations disrupt industries, and now consulting is being disrupted itself. And of course, the main premise of the article is that because of technology, especially AI, a lot of the work is um, being done, especially the work that's done by analysts and a lot of the hang on a second. Sorry about that. A lot of the work that's done by analysts and the low-level work that independent consultants do is being disrupted, right? So it's just wanted to point that out. A lot of consultants, including me, are concerned. I'm definitely not, super worried or fear that, my job's going to go away, right? But I know that all our jobs are going to change, no matter what type of consulting you do. Um, our jobs are going to change, and a lot of it is because of new tech, especially AI. And it's unlike anything that has happened in our industry over the past few decades. So it's definitely interesting. I mean, a lot of consultants I speak with are, yes, they're concerned, but the ones that are they really love what they do, they're pretty excited about what's coming, and how they can kind of build a competitive advantage and differentiate in the marketplace because of what's going on. Type in the chat, let me know what your thoughts are on AI and consulting. Today we're going to be talking about AI and um, high performance in the age of AI, yes, but that's more in the realm of sales and marketing and growth of a consulting business. But the delivery work that we all do for our clients, that is being disrupted as well. So type in the chat, let me know in a couple of sentences or a couple of lines, whatever you feel AI is going to do to our industry. And in the meantime, as you do that, I will get started with a small presentation that I have. All right. So let's quickly get started. So high performance consulting in the AI era. Now, who is this session for? It's for B2B consultants that serve small, mid-sized, large clients. And you may identify as a business consultant or a management consultant. If you're a consultant that serves organizations and helps them improve, whether it's in strategy, HR, IT, operations, leadership, and anything else, and you are looking to grow your business, then this is for you. And of course, if you're an independent consultant or an owner of a boutique firm, you're typically busy but don't have an active sales pipeline yet, right? And you're looking for more clients and growth. There are a number of consultants who have a couple of clients and they're happy with where they are. That's fine. For those types of consultants, a lot of what I'm saying may not fully apply, although some of it may apply. But if you're looking to kind of leverage, um, you know, belief systems and tools to grow your consulting business, then this session is for you. And here's a caveat: like I say this a lot to my, whenever I do a presentation, these webinars and presentations are just me talking about my experiences and my observations as a consultant, and now as a coach and trainer and mentor to consultants, right? I don't want this to sound like, I'm giving you specific business advice, because I don't. There are a number of you in this webinar, and I don't know each of your business as well. There are nuances to every person's situation and business. So, just use these ideas to spur your thinking, right? And the other thing is, I'm not an AI expert, right? AI is new. I'm learning it as well. And I feel that, just based on what we talked about a little earlier, consultants need to understand what's going on with AI, not just to grow their business, but also to deliver quality client outcomes, because our industry is changing. All right. So some of you may know me. You've been to my sessions. For those of you who don't, my name is Fahim Musa, and I'm a former management consultant. I founded a firm called Springboarders in Toronto here in 2009, and ran that firm, focused on strategic planning. We had a number of associates on our team, and we served companies across the board, small companies, mid-sized, large companies, nonprofits, government agencies as well. And we settled on serving academic institutions to help them commercialize research and launch companies within the university environment. So that was our specialty. And for the past 3 or 4 years, 4 years, I've been working with consultants, independent consultants, and management and owners of boutique firms to help them build their sales pipeline and grow their business. Okay, and that's what my firm does, Consulting Leap. So here are the key problems inhibiting growth. Now, I know this is a session about high performance in the area of in the era of AI. We'll get to the AI bit in a bit, but I want to focus on high performance as a consulting business owner, and particularly high performance in the area of growing your consulting business, right? So let's add some context to this before we get into the AI bit, so that you'll know, why I suggest or why I do certain things that I'll be talking about a little later. So one of the key problems, the inhibiting growth for consultants, is that they don't know what works, how to grow a consulting business. Most of us, all of us, are functional experts. We have some kind of technical ability. You know, people said things like DEI, HR, purchasing, et cetera, et cetera. We're very good at that. So we become consultants, but we don't have expertise in how to grow a consulting business. And there's a specific way to do that, way that works. So that information is lacking, and that inhibits growth. And secondly, consultants don't have a lot of time, right? Because we get hired for our expertise. Our clients typically want us to be part of the delivery team, the engagement team, and do the work. So once we land a client, we get busy with engagement, and then we don't do growth-related activities, right? So those are the two big things. And if you look at, if you've been following my content for a while, all of my content is directed at helping companies or helping organizations, or sorry, helping consultants solve these two problems. So as a result of those, so what happens when you start a consulting business is typically you land clients based on referrals, and you get busy with client engagements. You don't have a consistent prospecting method. You go from client to client, right? And once the project ramps down, you kind of look for your next client. And you don't typically have a discovery process to improve conversions. Once you land conversations with prospects, what do you do with prospects? Typically, we just wing it. We have the conversation, and then either we get the engagement or not. Now, typically, consultants are very good at saying that, once I land a conversation with a client, um, my conversion is pretty good. I convert at 50% or 80% or whatnot. That may be true. However, um, once you learn about how to have a discovery conversation, you learn how to build value into that conversation. You learn how to uncover needs, more better needs, higher value needs, and expand the size and scale of the engagement that you ultimately get. So there is a technique, or there's a way, or best practices into have a discovery conversation, and a lot of consultants don't have that, as a result of which they reduce their profitability and inhibit growth in the long run. So that's what typically consultants face. And then finally, they don't have a plan to build a team. Some of you may have small teams, but a lot of us don't have plans to build a team. I certainly was this way when I started off my business. It was just me. But I've had to learn how to do this from scratch, from a lot of trial and error. And that's essentially what I help consultants do right now to, overcome those challenges. Cool. And I'm telling you all of these things because, you know, the whole AI bit and the performance bit and stuff is, um, we're using all of that to address these problems, right? So I want to ensure that we're all on the same page, and you know, you understand that the challenges that I'm laying out resonate with you. So once consultants run their businesses like that, or run their operations like that, what happens is, you know, typically you get into this client concentration risk, like one or two clients. You'll have one or two major clients that's bringing in a large chunk of your business. It could be 25% up to 80%. I know for me, I had one client early back in the day that gave me 80% of my business. And psychologically, that is tough, because that you lose a big chunk of your income once that major client goes, right? So you get into you start a consulting business because you want unlimited, or significantly higher income potential than you had previously. You want freedom, you want more time, and so on. But then, you know, when you land only one or two clients, and one of those clients or two of those clients are a big chunk of your income, that leads to stress. Invariably, that leads to stress, because that very quickly start to feel like a job, right? Which is not what you wanted, and which is why you kind of started a consulting business in the first place. So client concentration risk is a big one. And you have roller coaster income as well. If you don't have a sales pipeline, you get into having income gaps between engagements, and that can significantly affect your family life. Maybe you may be like skipping vacations. Um, you ignore your health in some cases, because you're always looking for your next client when you don't have a client, and then you kind of skip workouts, going to the gym, whatnot, and personal time as well. And that's not the way to run a consulting business, because that's not why you started a consulting business in the first place, right? And it could lead to burnout as well. I've gone through that before, and it's not a fun place to be, and leads to boredom as well, right? Like a lot of consultants are intellectual people. They like to stay intellectually stimulated, like work with multiple clients, learn new industries, new skills, new ways of doing things. And when you get into this cycle of, hey, you know what, I got to start getting a client again. I got these lot of things to do. I don't have income coming in or whatnot. It can lead to boredom, right? And that's not why you're attracted to the technical stuff, and you strike out on your own. But then very soon it can get boring if you don't structure your business in the right way to grow, and so that you can um, take advantage of all those benefits that you wanted to start the business off in the first place. And then that's when you hit low performance, right? You get burnout, you get boredom, and you start, you could start underperforming with your clients as well, because, it can take its toll. And as a result of that, you consider going back to 9 to 5 life. Now, all of this stuff on the slide, I've gone through myself, and a number of people that I know that I've worked with have gone through it. It's pretty normal, right? In the independent consulting world. Just type in the chat. Let me know if this is resonating, because this is all of this is the basis for what I'm going to talk about, right? So client concentration risk, you have roller coaster income, burnout, boredom, low performance, and then you consider going back to 9 to 5 life. And here's the other thing about consulting. It's very tempting, because if you have one or two clients and they get used to you, they keep giving you more and more engagements and projects. Sometimes you'll find, depending on what type of consulting you do, that your top client wants to hire you full time, and they've got offers. Like, you always, not always, but depending on what type of consulting you do, you typically will find that your clients want more of you if they get used to you, because, you know, once they get used to you, your value increases in their eyes, because they don't have to get somebody new and then train them and then have them go through that learning curve of learning about their business and learning about their organization. So they just want you more if you are doing a decent job, right? So if you don't have another client, if you don't have another pipeline, right? If you don't have if you don't have other prospects that you're talking to, and you kind of go through all these things, these risks, and you feel this way, you'll be tempted to take a full-time job with a client. You see this on LinkedIn as well. Yeah, you see a lot of consultants that a lot of people who say they're consultants, and who their current experience says they've got a consulting business, but then they've got a full-time role as well, right? They do those two things, and it just tells you that they started a consulting business, and for some reason, you know, they haven't been able to grow it, and they've taken a full-time job, right? And I know that sometimes you start a consulting business because you want to build corp to corp or 1099 or whatnot. But a lot of the cases, people start a consulting business to get very excited, but they're unable to land new clients for a number of reasons, and they just end up taking a full-time role again. So nothing wrong with taking a full-time job, right? There's nothing wrong with that. Do it if that's what you're inclined to. But if you start a consulting business for the sake of, more freedom, more income, more energy, and so on, and then end up having to go back to 9 to 5 because you're not able to kind of, grow that business, that's not a fun place to be, right? That's what not having a plan to improve your performance and build your consulting business and structure the consulting business in the right way can do to you. Cool. So here's the thing. So why does this happen? As I was saying, the consultants don't organize themselves for high performance. And there's a specific way, or my way, to do it. There are other people may have different um, opinions, but I'm going to share with you what has worked for me and has worked really well for me. I've been doing it for, a decade or more, and it has worked really well for a number of my clients as well, right? You've got to be organized for high performance. And the way to do that is to recognize that before that, like, what is high performance? High performance means to me to run your business in a way that increases your time, energy, and income. Simple as that, right? Most of us get into business because we want more free time. We want to, feel our best. And of course, we want a significantly higher level of income that we've been earning so far, right? And, you don't want to cap your income. most consultants want to start a consulting business because they want to, um, you know, unlimited opportunities to increase their income. So, but typically it's time, energy, and income. So if you're running a business in a way that increases your time, energy, and income, to me, that is high performance. So here's the thing: the journey to high. I'm just taking a look at the comments. Um, the journey to um, starting or to go into a journey to high performance, it starts with, first, number one, freeing up your time by recognizing low yielding activities. And I'll tell you a little bit about low yielding activities and what they mean. Um, just looking at the comments, and yeah, it's good to know that this stuff is resonating with some of you. So the journey to high performance starts, number one, with freeing up your time. I mentioned to you that high performance to me is increasing a time, energy, and income, right? Um, there's a reason I said time first, because that's what you want to start with, right? What you want to first do is to free up your time by recognizing low yielding activities that you're involved with. And this is, when I show you the next slide, a lot of you will resonate. As independent consultants, people who've transitioned from corporate 9 to 5, and you've been running a business for, let's say, 2 years, 3 years, or whatnot. You've got a couple of clients through referrals, and now you're thinking, okay, what do you do next? Typically, what happens is, because we don't have a boss, because we don't have, we're not set up in the right way with the resources and so on, we tend to take on a lot of stuff and do it on our own, right? So as a result of that, we end up doing what I call a lot of low yielding activities. Now, low yielding activities are stuff that simply don't move the needle for your business. As a business owner, you want to ensure that you don't have too many low yielding activities on your plate. Right. So here are the low yielding activities, stuff like, you'll see it on the screen. And for those of you listening to the recording on the audio, I'll just read it out to you. PowerPoint presentation designs, creating a fancy website. Now, a lot of consultants think that when they in the early years they need a fancy website. It may be easy to think that you need a nice website because now you're a business owner, and websites are easy to put together and so on. But a website project is a huge time suck. For those of you who set up websites, right? That to me is a low yielding activity. There is a time and place for websites. Don't get me wrong, right? You can have someone build a website for you a little later, but it's not necessary in the first few years of your business, for sure. I didn't have one. I mean, I actually had one earlier in the day, and that's how I know it was not very useful. But I built the website, and then I later on realized that it wasn't something that drove business for me. What drove business is more conversations with qualified prospects, but more on that in a bit. So creating a fancy website, uploading blog posts on your own, graphic design, internet research, data entry, data analysis, which is non-client related, responding to low priority emails, another routine administrative tasks. We do it all, right? And what some of it may feel to you that you do, it happens, it takes you 10 minutes or 15 minutes or whatnot, but you still do it, and then they all add up, you see? But the first thing to recognize when you're trying to go from low performance to high performance, and to avoid all of those risks that I talked about earlier, is that you want to ensure that you eliminate, or you recognize the low yielding activities. Okay. And instead of the low yielding activities, here's what you should be focused on as a consultant that's looking to grow their business. High yielding activities, namely planning. Okay. When I say planning, it's education, that's learning. Like, a lot of you are on this webinar to learn, which is great. And there are other ways to learn as well. Thinking about strategy. which means who's your client, how you deliver value to that client, how are you messaging or communicating your value to that client, right? Where are you looking for more clients, and so on. And then hiring. Um, who do you need to hire? How do you find them? How do you manage that individual, whether it's a freelance hire or a full-time employee? So planning, I'm just going to, bucket all of that into that activity planning. Number two is marketing. When I say marketing, it's your content that you create, your you know outreach that you do with potential clients, and so on. Everything that you do in order to build your brand and get known, that's something that a consultant or a small business owner must take on in the early days of their business. And here's why. It's because you want to get clarity on all of those things in order to grow. Because if you don't, then a lot of the times consulting business owners, and even just generally small business owners, they kind of outsource marketing to other people, and then their messaging is lost. Things change in their business, and when things change, they don't know how to kind of get back on track and do better marketing, do new marketing. So you want to ensure that you one of your focuses as a consulting business owner is that you keep marketing for yourself, at least in the early days. And my definition of marketing is all those activities that um, that result in you creating demand for yourself. Everything that's demand generation related, like market research, prospecting, content, all types of writing and videos or whatever you do in terms of content, um, um, reaching out to potential buyers, all of those activities, right? That's marketing. And then sales. When I say sales, it's discovery conversations. Having conversion conversations. That consultants do, but what a lot of consultants also do is they outsource the sales activity pretty fast. They don't want to do it, and they say that they'll either hire a outsourced sales team and say, you go get me the clients, and then I'll do the projects, and so on. And or you go get me the clients, have the initial conversation, then you come to me, and then I'll close the sale or whatnot. But then again, there's a big disconnect between the sales team and the consulting business owner, because they haven't really thought about who their client is, what the messaging is, what the channels are, what the value proposition is. And because a small business is so dynamic, keeps changing, there's a big disconnect, and there are a lot of issues between the outsourced team and the business owner, right? So in the early days, you want to ensure that you keep marketing and sales for yourself. And if you don't know it, you got to learn it. That's why I started Consulting Leap, because a lot of consulting business owners don't focus on marketing and sales because they feel that they don't need it. And then they get into that low performance zone, which I talked about, right? So marketing and sales. And finally, client delivery. You got to have client delivery as a high yielding activity, because, in the early days, at least, clients want you to be part of the engagement. And, I don't think there's any way around that, because you're the expert. And if you got to be part of certain projects and engagements, depending on your business, then you got to do that. But slowly, you can remove yourself from that activity. But the early days, initially, you got to be part of that client delivery team, right? So those are the four activities, or the four buckets that you want to be focusing on. That's what high performance. That's what leads to high performance, right? And as much as possible, remove yourself from the low yielding activities. Now, I know at this point, a lot of you may be thinking that, where's the whole AI thing? Um, when's that going to come in this presentation? It's coming. It's not the most important thing, but this is about the AI era as opposed to the technology itself, right? And even though this we are in the AI era. This stuff that I'm talking about right now is important for you to know because it's about high performance. And whether we're in the AI era or not in the AI era, even this was relevant even like, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, right? So this is important for you to know before we talk about, the tools and all the tactics and all that stuff. So designing your business in a way that um, has you performing your best is important. That's the first piece. And then we can figure out, okay, how do you kind of, use tools and strategies and systems and so on to improve that. Okay. So here's the thing now, if you want to access the replay of this session, then join my community. It's called Consulting Growth Hub. It's free to join. It's just has a bunch of consultants such as yourselves. I'll put the link in the chat, and I'll also I'll put the link in the chat. And if you're listening in the on the podcast, you'll see the link in the show notes, or on YouTube, you'll see the link on the show notes. So all the replays of all these sessions we've done about this is the 48th session of Consulting Growth Hour. We do different session, a different topic every session. So you'll have a lot of information on different topics in consulting as far as growth is concerned. So check it out. I'll put the link in the chat a little later. Let's get back to high performance. So here are the steps to high performance. Okay. Number one is what I call the time audit. Now, before you make any changes into how you perform as a consulting business owner, you want to understand where you're at, right? And you want to do a time audit. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to share with you a couple of tools on, how you can, tools you can use to audit your time. So the first one is a spreadsheet that I've created myself. And if any of you want this, just let me know. It's a pretty basic spreadsheet. It's got, a few tabs at the bottom talking about high yielding activities and low yielding activities, right? Then what you've got is time data. Now, what you want to do is every single day, you want to track how much time you're spending on various activities. Okay, and it's including your personal time, including everything. So I've got this from 5 a.m. till 11 a.m., but then it depends. You use it however you feel best, however you see fit. So essentially what you want to do is you want to track everything that you do, and then you'll come to know patterns of how you're spending your time. Right? Here's a list of high yielding activities and low yielding activities as well. For those of you listening in on the podcast, the audio podcast, check out the show notes for the spreadsheet. But here's the thing. Here's another tool which I think is better, and it's free. It's called Toggle. Some of you may know about it, but Toggle is a time tracking software, and there are several other time tracking softwares as well. They'll track your time. It'll give you charts and graphs on how your time is being spent on based on various categories. It's a pretty good tool, so I would recommend it, and it's free. You can use it. So use Toggle, and it just runs in the background. All you got to do is just keep typing in the activities that you're doing, and I guarantee you, if you haven't been tracking your time, it's one of the most eye-opening activities that you'll do, because you'll find patterns in how you're spending your time, and you'll find chunks of your day going into activities that will simply surprise you. At least it did for me, right? I think it was Wasn't it Peter Drucker who said, what gets measured gets managed? So if you really want to manage your time, you got to first measure it. And when you start tracking your time, it's a total game changer. So it's just, if there's one thing you can learn from this session, if there's one action you can take, the biggest, which will give you the highest return, in my opinion, is this. Start tracking your time. Even if you don't do anything with it later on, you'll get insights. Okay, I see someone in the comments, Pre, who says, "Can you share the spreadsheet?" Yes, I can share the spreadsheet. I will. I'll do that in a bit. But check out Toggle. It's a pretty good tool as well. All right, so let's get back. So the first step to high performance is a time audit, right? And what happens when you do a time audit is that you'll find that you somehow will be saving a lot of time as well, because it works on your psychology, that you're spending a lot of time doing something. It'll show up in the pie chart or the graph, and then you'll say, you know what, next time you find yourself doing it, you'll stop doing it, right? So it's a very interesting activity, and it'll give you immediate benefits, right? So do the time audit. And the second piece is eliminate stuff. Like, you'll be doing a lot of, you'll see that there's a lot of low yielding activities that you're doing that you simply don't need to be doing for your business, right? It could be as simple as some kind of data entry or whatever. Eliminate it. Get rid of it, right? You don't need to delegate, outsource, automate, whatnot. The simple thing to do is just chuck it out the window. Okay, that's where, I mean, with that action itself, you're going to save a lot of time, right? And remember, high performance is firstly about time. It's about time, energy, and income. And here you're taking care of time. So with this activity and eliminating stuff that you're not doing, not eliminating stuff that you're doing, but that which doesn't move the needle, you're going to save a lot of time. And finally, you got to look at outsourcing and automation, right? And now we will get into the tools and not. I mean, yeah, we'll get into the talking about the tools and so on. But before that, let's talk about outsourcing, right? Up until now, all your low yielding stuff for me, the low yielding activities, I have outsourced to either a VA or someone else. But now there are tools out there using AI and stuff, which are simply, they're not perfect right now, but they're definitely getting better and better. And you can use certain tools to um, to get all this done. And mind you, this stuff about AI, going back to what we talked about, the Financial Times article about our industry being disrupted, this stuff is happening to us as well, right? So you got to be mindful of yourselves as consultants and which parts of your work is going to get outsourced to these tools or similar tools, right? And the more high yielding you can be, the more strategic you can be for your clients, and the kind of skills that you can learn, that will determine how effective you are as a consultant as well to your clients, and the types of quality outcomes that you get, right? So look at this in with two angles. How can I use a lot of these tools to grow my business and become a high performance consultant, but also how these types of tools are going to disrupt my business, and how can I position myself to be a person of value to my clients so that they continue to hire me, and they see me as unique in the marketplace, and I'm able to continuously add value, right? So we'll talk about the outsourcing bit, and we'll get to the other stuff a little later. So when you outsource, here's the model I use. It's pretty simple. It's been around for ages, but for those of you who haven't come across it, who haven't started outsourcing, here's a basic model. At the top is you, right? You doing high yielding activities. You're planning, your marketing, sales, and your client delivery. You're doing those four things as much as possible, right? The first step, if you want to outsource some of the low yielding activities, let's say some data entry, let's say some PowerPoint presentations and so on, Um, the first thing you got to do is outsource your tasks, which is, the box at the bottom, right? Outsource it to doers, people who do the tasks, right? Like I've talked about this in my previous sessions. You can find amazing um, um, creative talent on places like Upwork and Fiverr, and simply outsource the tasks, right? That itself is a great way to um, save a lot of your time or buy back a lot of your time, right? You're investing in these doers to do the tasks, and you're buying back a lot of time, right? And it's not a lot of it's not a lot of money. There's global talent, and for a lot of the tasks that you do, you outsource it by a few hours, and you free yourself um, from doing those tasks, and you add back hours to your day, right? But very soon what you'll realize is that you know if you when you outsource tasks, there's you need to manage the the people who are doing the task, right? There's a lot of decisions to be made, like creative approvals, checking their work, and kind of troubleshooting, and kind of training, and so on and so forth. And very soon you'll realize when you outsource is that you've let go of one piece of the work, which is actually doing the task, but now you've got other stuff to do, which is managing the people, making decisions on a lot of these things, and that kind of eats in to your day as well. It's better than actually doing the task itself, but still, um, the second level of outsourcing is that you've got to outsource decisions, and then you got to have some kind of an operations manager on your team, slightly senior level. There are people who do this, online business managers. You can go to onlinebusinessmanager.com. um, there are senior virtual assistants who implement something called the Entrepreneur Operating System, EOS, and so on, who will handle your team. But that's second step in outsourcing, right? So before you get into the AI and stuff, like just ensure that you understand this model, and you kind of implement it. A lot of the stuff, I mean, even today, even though there's AI, of course, I still have a team. I still have a virtual assistant. I have, creative talent who do a lot of work for me, and so on. You can't outsource everything to AI, but there's a lot of stuff you can do that that definitely help. Okay, so that's that about the outsourcing model. And what I want to say, like, um, what I want to show you next is, right, like I'll talk about, the AI tools that I use, and some of the, low yielding stuff, and also the high yielding work that now AI helps me do, right? Let me just preface this by saying that, again, like AI is new. Um, I use it. I'm still learning, a lot of the best ways to use it. There are tons of tools out there. Every day there are new tools coming up. So I don't want to make this session about showing you a big laundry list of tools. I do experiment with a lot of tools. I'm not sure of the effectiveness of a lot of those tools, but I'll show you what I use predominantly and how I use those tools predominantly. So you'll get an idea of what kind of um, activities or what kind of tasks I use AI for. And mind you, it's not just about the low yielding tasks now. AI can help you do the high yielding stuff as well, right? Because it helps in various ways. Let me just share my screen. Um, and I know that a number of you may already be using these tools. I know Walter's in the audience, and I know Walter and I had some interactions. You have some experience. So if you want to chip in a little later on, or just type in the chat, let me know, let us know some of the ways you're using AI, or anybody else as well. Jump in, feel free, because we're all learning. This is something new for all of us, and this is if what can help other consultants here, that would be a big win for all of us. So again, I don't want to make this about a big laundry list of tools. So I'm just going to be sharing with you, the tool I predominantly use. right? Which is ChatGPT 4. I pay $20 for it. And there are other tools from other organizations like Microsoft, and I think Meta has its own AI tool and so on, which does a lot of these things that OpenAI, which developed ChatGPT, does. But this is what I use, and here are the things that I use it for. Like, remember, for me, um, when I look at how I can improve and how I can improve my performance as a consultant, um, I believe that a lot of these tools can help me in the high yielding activities itself, right? Initially, let's say, for example, before, let's say we're talking about marketing, right? A lot of my marketing work later, before AI, was um, done manually, of course, right? Because I had to write my own posts. I mean, I still do write my own posts, but then the the creation process was from scratch, right? Like I had to start building ideation from scratch, putting together posts, putting together pieces of content, and so on and so forth. What AI has done, especially for the marketing piece, right? It has completely transformed the way I now use I now kind of do it, and it's like I would say just eyeballing the my productivity. I think it's improved my productivity by at least 4 or 5 times, right? Because of how fast it's able to generate information, ideas, help me brainstorm, and so on. So I'll just, my plan today is just to show you a little bit about what I've been using. This is my Chat GPT screen, right? For those of you who are listening to this in the audio recording, you'll have this replay in the Consulting Growth Hub community, so go check it out. But I'm just showing you my screen, and I'll show you, the various activities that I use it for and how it improves my productivity. This thing is a keynote creation assistance or a PowerPoint presentation assistance, though the PowerPoint presentation that I showed you today was done by AI. So I added a prompt and I, gave it some information, and then it put it together. Like you'll recognize these slides, right? Like it's exactly what I showed you, right? This is a basic thing. I don't like doing PowerPoint presentations. I had a virtual assistant do them before, but now I'm experimenting with this. I still have the virtual assistant. I'm just, reallocating the kind of work that they will do. Um, and there are other tools that will, even create the design for you. I think there's one called beautiful.ai. And Walter, I believe you gave me a couple of ideas. So type in the chat if you've got some more tools that do PowerPoint presentations. There are a number of them. But if anyone's used any of them, feel free to type in the chat. So this is one thing which I didn't like doing, and it's made it marginally easier, right? I do find that I have to prompt it a lot to kind of change things and so on. But if stuff like this, like creating tables and all, it's definitely made it better, right? That's one thing. Let's look at what I did yesterday. So this is consulting transforming to win. Okay, so now here's what my next experiment is. Now I've done 48 of these presentations, consulting growth hour, right? Um, and I have a lot of content. So I believe that as a consultant and as a person that's selling expertise, and all of you, this applies to all of you as well, you you want to become a thought leader. You want to create content so that people see you as an expert and they reach out to you and they want to do business with you when they need help, right? So thought leadership is inherently, I mean, it's part of who we are. I believe, right? If you look at the best consultants, um, or the most successful consultants, they all had some kind of thought leadership angle, whether it's authoring a book or writing articles in trade publications or mainstream publications, doing seminars, webinars, all that kind of thing, right? So um, I'm always looking for ways of how to improve my productivity as a thought leader and how to kind of um, distribute content in different ways. A lot of my content, is talks. I'm talking about a lot of the same things in different ways. Yes, you know, I do bring new things into my content pool, as in when I learn stuff like this, stuff about AI and anything new that I learn, I bring it in and I weave it in. But my core philosophy of how to grow a consulting business is the same, right? And people learn differently. As a marketer, you want to understand that people learn differently. Like you folks are out at a 60-minute webinar. Some people don't like sitting at webinars. They want to read, right? Some people don't like to read. They want to listen. So, I have a podcast as well. This goes out to people who like listening to podcasts. So you want to distribute your content in different ways and different formats because people learn differently, right? So this experiment that I'm doing right now is to help convert all of my YouTube webinars, all of my webinars, this Consulting Growth Hour, into engaging blog articles optimized for SEO, right? And I believe that AI can do this. So this is my experiment. If I can do this, then I can either upload those articles on my blog or start a LinkedIn newsletter. Even if it's older content, a lot of that content um, is still relevant. And if I can create that content and create a new distribution channel, that significantly boost my productivity because I'm getting more content out there and I'm getting more eyeballs on it and I'm building more affinity and trust. You see, so I would have been able to do this as efficiently, or assuming this works, uh, if it weren't for tools like this, right? So if you folks are um, in a similar situation where you have a lot of content, and I know, like, a lot of consultants are authors as well. I'm sure there are a couple of people in this audience who may have written books before, right? If you've written books before, you can rehash similar content and use that content, um, and convert it into social media friendly content, right? So you don't have to kind of reinvent the wheel when you create content. But if you've got a book, that's amazing content that you're sitting on. A lot of authors, a lot of consultants, they write books, but then after the initial first couple of months, they stop promoting the book because the excitement is gone, and then that book is sitting on a shelf doing nothing. But that's a great piece of content, right? You can now distribute that content consistently by using a tool like this, right? So any pillar or anchor piece of content that you have, you can use for this. Let's see something else that I did. Okay, LinkedIn consulting strategies. Now, somebody told me that, on LinkedIn, you get these collaborative articles, and they said that, a lot of people in AI, a lot of uh, people are contributing to those articles using AI. So I was just experimenting with this. I stopped contributing to those articles because I just found them a big waste of time, honestly. But I wanted to understand how people are doing it, and I just I was curious about it. But I'm not going further on this because I just feel that I don't want to use AI as a writing tool because it doesn't have my voice. Anything that I put out there, I want to ensure that it has my voice. Now, even the previous example, um, where I said I want the tool to kind of reduce or summarize my longer webinars for an SEO related and create SEO optimized blog posts. I would never use exactly that, whatever AI spits out, and put it on my blog. I would always edit it and ensure that it's in my voice, right? So this particular use case of using it for collaborative articles, I'm not going to do it. This one, summarizing conversations, right? This is a pretty decent tool. And here's the thing, this is with Chat GPT, you have something called custom GPTs, custom tools, where other people use the technology and create specific tools for specific purposes. So the one that and this one is available in the free. These GPTs and have now been released. These custom GPTs can be used by people who use free Chat GPT as well, right? The 3.5 version. Initially, it was only available to those that were paid or paying for the thing, but now you can use it for this as well. This is great for summarizing conversations. Now here's what I do. Like a lot of, I like to learn a lot, right? Like I go to YouTube and I don't know why this isn't showing, but I'll tell you what this is. Um, when you I like to go to YouTube and learn a lot. Like there's some amazing information about, everything about related to business or even if it's something, personal, like learning, a personal topic. But to speed it up, you know, usually you speed up the video to 1.5 times or 2 times and you listen. But now what you could do is just take that video and put it into this tool called Summarize Conversation. And then it'll give you a summary of the video and you can talk to it and you can say, okay, what did this person say at this time? What did this person say at that time? I was watching a video by the founder of Khan Academy, Sal Khan. He's released a new book called Brave New Words, and he's been talking about how AI is going to change education. And I didn't have the time to watch a 1.5 hour interview of his, so I made this tool summarize the information, and I asked questions back and forth, and I found it pretty useful. So in the high yielding activity portion, learning is a big thing. You want to learn, right? That's a high yielding activity. And if you can use this to summarize a lot of great information on YouTube, education on YouTube, and summarize it, that's a great outcome. Some of the other things that I do here, you can see on the left, cold email outreach template. I don't send a lot of cold emails, but I just wanted to understand what kind of information or what kind of skill the tool has, and whether it gives me good output. Creating YouTube titles. So here's the thing. Let me just show you. Now, creating YouTube titles, this is what I did for this session last week. So I put in, I said, I'd like to create a webinar on high performance consulting, blah, blah, blah. And can you give me five possible titles, short titles? It gave me a few titles. I wasn't happy with something. I wrote back to it and it kind of refined it. And then I chose something based on what made sense for me. So this also is, cut down a lot of work for me. It does great work. I mean, I wouldn't say great because ChatGPT's copy is not that great. It uses a lot of platitudes, like words like unlock and elevate, which I try and avoid in my copy. But of course, it's a start, and you can build on it. Now, I know we're at the top of the hour. I'm just going to give you one more tool, which I find is very useful. It's called Perplexity.ai. Okay, this is a mishmash of Google search and ChatGPT. I think is a fantastic tool. If you haven't heard of it, if you haven't used it, just check it out. This helps you a lot in sales research. Here's something which I put in just for the sake of this example. Find the top 10 companies in Canada that experienced year-on-year sales decline in the past year. Analyze their sales reports to find out, and it spat out 10 companies. Then you can give it a follow-up prompt, which says, give me a list of VPs of sales for each of these companies and a personalized email outreach hook. Now, this is a very simplistic example, right? The output wasn't that great, but then you can experiment with various types of hooks and various types of prompts to give you more relevant output. Okay. Just one last thing I want to finish the session with. If you have any questions, please type in the chat. One last thing that I want to touch on is what's coming next, or what is already happening. Right now, we're in the era of generative AI, which is just data that it can be generated based off of large language models, right? But what is happening? What's coming next and what is already happening, which is not mainstream right now, but will be very, very soon, is AI agents. And this is again why consultants should be wary about, how a large part of our work can be simply outsourced by our clients, right? Because AI agents are a thing. AI agents are, as you can see from the screen, they're software programs designed to perform tasks autonomously, using AI, of course. Um, we're on a Zoom call right now. There is a note taker. There's a meeting note taker that's taking notes, and it'll give me a summary of the conversation later on. So we're actually in the middle of a session which is being monitored by an AI agent, right? It's it's an innocuous thing. It just gives a meeting summary, but that's an example of it, right? And that's just one use case of it, right? But there are other specific use cases in marketing. You have agents that can analyze customer data, deliver personalized content and offers, create better engagement and conversion. Like what I did right now on ChatGPT manually, I can have something that I could program something using natural language processing, without knowing code, and create an agent that will help me automatically without me having to do anything, right? Which it could do customer research, it can analyze some data, it could give me some information. Okay, here's how you can improve your copy, and so on and so forth. There are tools right now that automatically schedule posts, AI agents that can respond to comments. I don't use them. There are a lot of these agents that people use on LinkedIn to respond to comments. I hate them actually. I don't recommend them at all, and I don't recommend that you use them. But that's an example of it, right? I mean, you can use these tools. People can use these tools in any which way possible, but um, social media has a lot of these AI agent use cases as well. In sales, like what if you could have an agent that's constantly monitoring your CRM, right? And telling you, um, you know, here are these 5 leads you should reach out to today because something happened in their business or something happened in the industry that is a trigger to them buying. Or here are these 5 leads that now have moved on to a new company and they're likely to be looking for a new consultant, such as yourself. What if you had an AI agent that could do that, right? It could save significant amount of time and it could increase your productivity and possibly profitability as well, right? And project management, coming back to low yielding activities, right? Like a lot of project management can be outsourced to these AI agents, scheduling meetings, sending personalized reminders, updating project statuses for your clients, and so on, and for your own projects, and allocating resources and helping you hire a team, right? All this stuff is going to become mainstream in the future, and I advise all of you to just keep an eye out on what's going on in the AI agent world. Again, not just for your own business, but also to understand how these agents can possibly disrupt our business and how we can position ourselves in order to be people of value, continue to be people of value for our clients. Finally, if you need help with any of this stuff in terms of helping growing your consulting business, and you feel that you want to have a conversation and see how I can help, just reach out to me. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email at fm@fahimmusa.com, or you could even type in the chat, or however you want. Just find me online.